Okay. Today, I would like to cover limiting factors, right? So, in this path, majority is very much self-empowerment, self-inquiry, self-awareness, and and this is one of them, right? So we scan our mind, we scan our body, and we identify what is it that limiting us from living our goals or progressing towards our goals or living our dream or progressing towards our dream. So I think it's easy to examine, say, limiting belief system, right? So the the values, the way we see things, the way we believe in things, it's all being taught to us from childhood, from our parents, our culture, religion, social media, etc. Right? And and if we are not aware or conscious, we thought they are us, right? They are, it's how we think, but actually we take on board quite subconsciously. And so I think that is quite easy to see, right? I mean, like, no, not see, but quite easy to understand. Say we have a conflict with somebody and we can't forgive, we can't move on. So we know there is something in our way of seeing that situations that that we we attach and we can't free ourselves. So, but I want to focus more the initial stage, right? Not when it's already been triggered into the program that's running our mind. I want to bring ourselves back so that we identify it more earlier. Um, and and it's quite easy, right? So but we got to practice, and everything is hinged on being us, being in the present moment. So mindfulness is, from what I experience and I learned, mindfulness is the one factor that is in the development of everything, because all development, all changes start with us being mindful of what's happening to our mind and our body right now in this reality, right, as it's happening. So so I want to invite you to have a look, and we practice with simple things, right? So when you hold a cup of coffee in the morning, right? Um, can you get to the phase where you can just accept things as it is and not necessarily know it or label it, right? Because most of the time, even simple cup of coffee, we already preconceive, right? We already know it. We already taste it. We already experience it, even before we actually experience it. So there is already an add-on from the past. But if we practice to just watch, yeah, watch for a while, watch live. When we need to engage and when we need to plan and when we need to respond, then we do that. But most of the time, just learn to be the observer, right? To just silently watch. And and I practice this and it's really hard, right? I would look at a rose and I'm staring at and I try not to know it as a rose or even like label it a rose, but it's so compulsive. It's just so they said co-join or join from one one moment of reality to the next. For example, from feeling to perception to thinking and all that. That process is so attached from one moment to the next. It's very hard to have a gap or even a pause between them. So, but I did, right? I did try to go through, walk in the park and see thing, feel thing, but to just really experience it, right? Living at the moment of contact, living at the moment when the mind is is at the contact at the senses with the external. Because once it's contact, it will label. And once it label, it will trigger a certain program in our mind. So for example, if we have a lot of issue with our parents, the moment we see that figure, right, in reality, it's just shade colors coming to our eyes, and automatically we label father, and then it triggered this association and all the trauma if we happen to have trauma from that person. So, um, so also with mindfulness is the two factors of focus, right? Focus um, where our attention is directed and sustained. So I'm asking you to have a look and ask a question yourself: where is my attention now, right? and and if you find yourself somewhere else thinking and whatever, or in the past reliving, then the next question is, am, did I have a choice in this, right? Did i did i choose to be here? Did I choose to relive this experience that give me suffering? Did I did I choose to go in the past and have this anxiety arises? And really be honest, because sometimes we love suffering, right? Sometimes we rather suffer than be honest with ourselves that we need to change. Because changing is painful, right? Changing is challenging, because changing we need to let go. Changing means we gotta forgive, and sometimes we don't want to forgive because of the past. So it's it's one thing to identify limiting factors, but be careful that we don't go into analysis of the limiting factors because, for example, uh, 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 analyzing too much of the threat of why this is happening. For example, why is these personal issues arise, and how can I unpack that? It is helpful, but I think it is more obstacle than a progress. But say if we focus and we ask ourselves, where is our attention now, and why did we really choose it, and if we did choose it, why did we choose that, right? Because a lot of people, when they identify their factors, that factor's been there for a long time, right? That factors have been there and quite strong. So it's not something that just happened a week or two. It could, um, but if it's something already happened a long time, then the question is, why did I choose to stay in this state, right? If it's not a choice, then I want to move on. I want to change. But if it is a choice, like sometimes we really have to be really, really honest with ourselves. This is the relationship between us and our mind and our body. It's not, we don't have to answer to anybody. We don't have to prove it to anybody. So it's very beneficial that we're really honest with ourselves, right? And just sometimes we admit we like what we are feeling, even though it's not what we want, but it's the known, right? It's comfortable. um and sometimes I experience with other people that um it's how they've been taught. For example, if you've been taught a very broken or damaged love language from your childhood, then it's very hard to love a person with a different language, right? Because we always gravitate to how we know it. So we ended up reducing the present reality or the present person to the past state so that we can love them. Uh, um, yes, well, an example of that, I talk quite general and it seems so vague. I used to have a neighbor. He's not here anymore. It's a really sad story. But he grew up learning the language from his single mom, who was, how do you call it? A you could say a call girl. And so that's how he learned the love between a man and a woman. So now when he's 50 years old and he's meeting a really wonderful woman, um, he reduces her to that person in the past so that he can love her. He can't really know how to love this person with a different language. So yeah, but that's really hard, right? Really hard to face and really hard to unpack if you don't have somebody to soundboard with or talk it out and figure it out. Um, but we our present moment, how to call it? You can call it alarm bell, right? That give us a hint of something is not in sync with this reality, is in our feeling. Say if we are very emotional about something, right? And if we scan our mind to what's the thinking or the thought pattern that's going on there, we realize that It might have worked in the past, but it's not working in the present moment with whatever is happening now, right? So from feeling, right? And we can chase the thread, we can chase why, right? So from feeling, you can see, okay, what did I label this present moment as, right? And do I need to label at all? Or is there another label that I can see from? Because that first contact where the mind is experiencing the external, that first contact is labeling. And it's so important because how we label is how we're going to trigger a certain program that is already present. For example, say go back with the cup of coffee. If we first seen it and we know it's a cup of coffee, right? How about we just labeled it something else, just a cup, and let's experience what's it present now. So instead of going into the known, which is the past, we're open to what the present is presenting to us or unfold. So if we live like that, there is a sense of wonder, a sense of mystery, a sense of curiosity, a sense of learning, a sense of discovering, because we're open to things not as it was, even though we immediately know it, but we want to see if it is totally different, right? We're open to that. So we not go straight into the known. And this is really, really helpful in meditation because as we go further in meditation, we'll have lots and lots of different, new experience. And when we have this openness of adventure, of curiosity, of unknown, then there is less fear. And when there's less fear, we tend to let things progress and unfold. Because if we hold too much on to the known, then when we encounter something that is so wonderful, but it's totally unknown, right? And we kind of abort it because we don't know, and there's so much anxiety and fear. Another limiting factors, okay, is so we talk about focusing, right? Where we ask ourselves, where is our attention? Why not? And we're talking about labeling. So the first contact of the mind experiencing not only the external, but the mind is experiencing the mind world. So to me, there's two worlds, right? There is the external where the mind experiencing the physical world through the five senses. But then there is the mind world where the mind experiences the mind world, right? In the mind world, there is vision, there is memory, there is experience that is not sensed through the five senses, right? For example, we go to places and we can feel something. We can feel a presence. We can feel an energy. Or when we talk to somebody, we can feel their vibe. You know, you call them vibe or energy or aura, right? So that is the mind experiencing something that isn't experienced through the five senses. So what people confuse is they understand the external is not theirs. So it's pretty obvious. I'm not the tree. I'm not the chair. I'm not the water, the air, the heat. But when it comes to the mind world, they own everything, right? Thought is me, thought is mine. Feeling is me, feeling is mine. Memory is me, memory is mine. Whatever I hear, whatever I see, vision, they're all mine, right? So when we learn to just being silent observer, then we realize, oh, this is another world, right? It's like the external world, but this is the mind world. It's not ours. Definitely not ours. The reason why it's not ours is that a concrete, what you call it, there is this monkey test, now monkey experiment, where one island the monkey was discovering that if they dip the sweet potato in the ocean, it tastes better, right? But then on the other side of the island, where the two tribe of monkey doesn't even contact each other, they at the same time, or pretty much, a delay of few weeks or days, they have the same idea of dipping the sweet potato into the ocean water. And how many times have we discovered that our ideas or is being picked up by somebody else and developed? See? So ideas, thoughts is not ours, right? It's shared in this mind world. So we talk about focusing and labeling, first contact of consciousness or awareness, experiencing the two worlds. Now I would like to talk about also the limiting factors of us uh, not developing the positive, because what I'm seeing is we focusing too much on kind of the obstacles, right? Identify the obstacles, change it or look at it, study it. But I haven't seen many people doing the other way. For example, identify the positive, identify the kindness, compassion, the peace, the stillness, the meditation, the mindfulness. Identify that and develop that, right? Develop more and focus, right? So we have to do kind of like due effort. Not only are we studying and changing what need to be changed, but also cultivating and developing what need to be cultivated and developed. Because if we do one thing and we neglect the other, what happening is uh, we became drained, we exhausted, too much effort with no reward, right? So but we have to be careful that we reward ourselves with wholesome feelings, wholesome qualities. For example, peace is wholesome, kindness is wholesome, compassion is wholesome, joy is wholesome, uh, simplicity is wholesome, humbleness wholesome, openness, acceptance, all of that meditation, right? Uh, uh, um, Insight, self-awareness are wholesome. So So sometimes I'll identify limiting factors, but limiting factors is also not identifying and neglecting um, the other side of the efforts, right? So there's four right efforts, right? Identify and staff or ignore the negative, identify and develop the positive. So there's four kind of effort, right effort. um, okay. So that's about half an hour of me talking. Anybody question? Because I like questions.
So may I just quickly summarize the first point? You said focus and then labeling. But so I want to clarify the labeling part. Labeling is what you, for example, for the sound, see, and the labeling is the perception bit, isn't it? But you're talking about don't label. Is that correct? Or you saying label?
Mm, no. Mm. So so this is when we do self-inquiry, it's not so much do or don't. It's more like what's happening now. Why am I
Um,
doing what I'm doing? Right? Am I conscious of what I'm doing? And if I'm not conscious, can I change? Or if I'm conscious of doing this, then why? Right? Because sometimes say labelings, for example, or the way we perceive uh, a person, or the way we perceive a situation in our life, it could be what is stopping us, right? For example, somebody might say, I can't meditate because I'm too busy. I can't meditate because so and so and so, right?
yeah, that's a good example. I often sort of attack myself with that view. So let's take that. So when I said, "Oh, I can't meditate," not because I don't have time. I tend to uh, sort of blame myself that lack of my skill or of my ability. I can't keep concentrating on or something like that as a reason. So in this case, so how would you describe focus on labeling and then how to so not go into that? What
Mm,
would you say?
okay. Um, so when it comes to meditating or the choice to meditate, right? Because what you're saying is um, there is all this reason come up when I want to sit and meditate. All of a sudden, the mind come up with all these reasons why I shouldn't or why I can't. Um, when you know something is wholesome, for example, kindness, compassion, meditation, why do you give yourself choice? Why do we give ourselves the choice, so many choice? Why is there so much self-commentary? Um, um, for example, when I know a lot of people now have conscious living of exercise, of eating the right food, right? And they don't give themselves choice of not doing them because they know it's good for them, and they know if they don't do those, they're going to suffer the consequences, right? So maybe haven't felt the consequences of not meditating. You haven't really feel the gravity of not meditating, right? For example, if you go to a retreat, a meditation retreat for a week or 2 weeks, and you meditate all day, every day, and you come to this state where you have, how would you call it? It's like you have a rocket energy, that you can like want to fly. You can like literally take off, or you have clarity about an issues, or clarity into the Dharma, right? And 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 then you go back to the suburban normal life, and all that clarity is gone, and all that energy is gone, and we feel like we're in the mud again. Mm. So then you see the consequences of say meditating a lot and no meditation at all, right? And so we don't give ourselves a choice. Our mind give us a choice, but we don't need to give us a choice. You know what I mean? The difference?
Yeah, okay. So in that simile, and sorry to talking about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, I do think I do get just the way I live, the nice energy coming in, or very happy. I'm very happy at the moment with my relationships and then everything I do. And so, in that sense, I might feel it's natural for me to not to cling on the meditation so per se. I mean, I still do some meditation, but maybe my needs are filled. Is that possible? But nonetheless, but I think this sort of I can't meditate. That moment itself is still um not a not a skillful comment. And every time I sit down and mind just growing sometimes and you know bring back. Again, I was thinking about something else. And let's keep doing it, and then sort of in the end, yeah, feel it like, but not as I would like to go deeper, and then sometimes again, may this I can't meditate. That comment comes when my or overall energy is low. Like if I have mm, um didn't sleep well or didn't have the physical energy up, then just like overall level is a bit low and feeling can't meditate. Mm. So in that time at that time, how to put up.
Okay. So I pick out three things out of what you just say.
Okay, great, thank you.
There's the word clinging, the word meditation, and the word can't. Okay. Now I know because I was in the industry, right? And different, especially one tradition taught about clinging to meditation, right? That you have to be careful that you don't get attached to the meditation state of mind, because you're going to cling, and then all these things result. I have a response to that. And I'm saying, if anything that give you a wholesome feeling, a wholesome state of mind, cling all your life, okay? I want you to cling to it. I want you to be addicted to it. I want you to be in it like 24/7. If you want, if you can, right? Just be still. Just do you know why? Because this clinging or this attachment will lead you to something beautiful. So
So
cling,
whatever, if I feel like
yeah.
great, the wholesome feeling,
Just go. Just let
just
yourself go
go.
and experience it, and don't have any guilt trip, and don't have any past condition of this opinion and that opinion stop you. Don't let the external or even the masters define your state of mind now.
Is
Okay.
it all right to say that?
I know, because sometimes we we almost worship a certain masters or teacher, right? And so everything they say goes, right? And I say no, right? Your state of mind is your teacher, right? So if this state of mind, this right present is giving you so much joy and happiness, I say cling, 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 because this clinging and this attachment will lead you to better insight, better stillness, more kindness, more compassion, deeper meditation. It's just going to lead you to the end, okay? Because, like, that's why, say, clinging to the senses or clinging to the external world, I would be restrained. I would be very careful, because those
Senses
those
or external.
codependents, huh?
Sorry, so clinging to senses?
Yeah, the senses, like our taste, our food, clinging to what we see, like movies or
Mhm.
music, clinging to go on holiday, clinging to the thrill of some sport, clinging to relationship, clinging to the world, people's opinion. those will those will lead us to this thing, codependent things, and it's quite messy, right? And it doesn't lead us to uh, clear insight, doesn't lead us to the end, doesn't lead us to the goal. But clinging to kindness, to compassion, to beautiful state of meditative state will lead us to better and more stillness, because that's the nature of the mind, right? The nature of the mind is when we feed it with wholesome qualities, our mind gets stronger, our awareness is stronger, and with that strong mindfulness and awareness, we can see things deeper. And when we see things deeper, we're able to do things better. We'll be more kind. You know what I mean? So all those qualities got developed a little bit further with the wisdom. Without wisdom, it's very hard to develop further. But with wisdom, we're able to understand, we're able to see the mechanism of everything. And so we're able to step back and let reality be reality, so to speak. Okay, so that's address the word cleanliness. Now, the word meditation. Meditation, to especially Buddhists and that, it seems quite a chore, wouldn't you say? Like meditation is like something I gotta do, I gotta sit, I gotta put effort in. It's like really hard work, right? So the mind would resist. So that's why we throw up all these excuses because what and meditation is quite can be quite boring, right? Really boring and really painful with all the backache and knee ache and all this itchiness, it's a whole lot of sensation, not really nice in the beginning. So the word meditation can have quite a negative connotation and triggered all these resistance in us. That's why we have all these excuses and to procrastinate. How about don't say meditation? How about just say, I want to have some time to rest. I'm just going to sit here and rest and sit here and just hear things, just feel things, right? Just hear the silence, feel the silence, right? Just that state between the noise, yeah? So just rewind your perception because basically you perceive meditation. That's your first perception, and it triggered all this resistance. And then if you just perceive it as restful state, I'm going to rest. I have a life so hard, so tough. Now I just want to rest. Right? I want to rest consciously. Even if it's painful and it's itchy, I want to rest consciously and allow things to be as it is. If it's very painful, like to the point of chronic or very drowsy, then I would recommend, get up and deal with it. Go to sleep or stretch or swim or whatever. But most of the time, just rewire your head to say, because to me, meditation is great, right? Meditation, I got no resistance in my head. I would just sit and it's my time, right? It's a time I'm not a mother. It's a time I don't have to be nobody. So it's a very happy, restful, peace time for myself. And so there's no resistance. So the word meditation causes no friction, but with other people causes a lot of friction, right? Because it's a doing when meditation should be more like a being, right? You sit, you rest, and you just be. You're not doing anything, right? We just silently feeling, silently observing and hearing.
Well, okay, but you just said it in the very beginning of this session. Mindfulness is difficult. So it's the same thing to me. It's meditation is mindfulness, and that's difficult. How would you reconcile with that?
Okay.
And
So then,
that is, to me, a mindfulness is difficult. And so I agree that what you're saying that, I tend to, oh yeah, if it's difficult. So,
yeah, mindfulness is difficult because we have to sustain consciousness, right? We have to sustain this awareness.
yeah, and
But
that is a meditation, isn't it?
no, not necessarily. There is a time for everything, right? There is a time to watch and analyze and study, but then there's time to rest. And then there's time for fun. So you got to know what your mind needs. Does it need to be resting now? Or does it need some insight? Am I working on something? Am I is there an obstacle so big that I need some insight, right? Or if I've been trying this so much, now my mind is so overwhelmed, very tired, I'm drained. Now it's time to rest. Yeah. So we don't run one mode for the mind all the time, right? It's like our body, right? I'm on the farm. I work only in the morning when it's nice and cool and I got energy. So I work, right? And then when I feel tired, I rest. I go in and I feed my body and I rest. And for the rest of the afternoon, I would do different activity, not so much physical, but more like, the mind, uh, write some more or coach some more, you know what I mean? Or pay more attention to family and friends. So there are times of the day for different mode of running. So your mind's the same. You can't do one mode all the time, it would drain out.
So mindful of the body or mindful of the mind as a meditation, that's sort of clear, more conscious effort meditation. I need that, but at the same time, sort of more samatha, like just a quiet, still, peaceful meditation. That's also important, what you're saying. Do both.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. When you feel your mind is tired, or you can do both, right? Every meditate up, every session, you start off with resting. How about that? You just start with resting. We're not studying, we're not analyzing, we're not observing, we're not doing anything. We just rest in the space. And once you rest and you feel your mind is 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 calm, but you still got the energy, you're not drowsy, then you might like to do things, for example, observe things, example, reflect on things, you know what I mean? So always start with resting, so then you can do both every session. But if someday for some reason life is very tough, you're going through a rough patch and you just want to rest, then you do the whole session just resting, right? So it's your journey, it's your state of mind, and it's trial and error, and yeah, nobody knows it more than you, so you be your own teacher. Don't let other people define you, all right? Don't let other people define your path, your goal. Okay, and then
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
also hear the word can't. I
Mm.
can't, I can't. Once you say the word can't, you already give yourself a life sentence, so to speak, right? You already you already settled to not working, to already, right? You basically preempt yourself, right? It's more like self-prophesy, so to speak. So instead of saying I can't, just say I'm open to unfolding. I'm sitting here and I am open to whatever reality unfold. That's it. That's all we can do. Let the process happen without us saying, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, right? It's a lot of controlling there, a lot of uh, wanting comfort, um, so that we can not fear, right? So if we sitting in the middle of the stream and we just let the stream passes us.
But that thing in progress. So haven't I don't need to think. So let's say that thing is in progress, and then I haven't seen the result, and the result I don't know. Just be here and then
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Open
Yeah.
to unfold how it goes. So
Yeah. Yeah. Be okay with the unknown.
and
Be okay with not
with
having control.
in the current situation and not to judge that as the 100% so the result or the
Yeah, even when you know something and you thought you have an insight, right? Also be careful with that also. Because our insight can be our obstacle, right?
mhm,
Because we thought, okay, we know this now. Once we know something, that's where we get stuck.
yeah, it's sort of clean now it's clean
Yeah,
that
now we
that
put
yeah
reality in a box.
can be seen others okay, other possibilities. So keep
Mm,
open mind
mm.
and those thoughts is not mine anyway. Just a
So we
condition
might know
of the
something, right? But we only know it at this state of mind. We only
mm.
know it, but we are open to a deeper understanding, a deeper state of mind. Yeah, very
Well,
good.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for dealing with my own problem. And thank you very much, David, for listening to.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I'm sure your problem is not is quite common, and I'm sure your
Yeah,
voicing your question would help others.
this recording will help. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Do
very
you
much.
have any question, David?
Um, yeah, I can speak a little bit about my practice. Lately I've been sitting for longer and longer periods of time, and I'm able to get into some, pretty pleasant states. However, I'm also finding that it's like one part of the mind feels happy and pleasant, or one part of the body, but then there'll be like another part of the mind or the body that feels like it'll like appear and disappear, like aversion or restlessness or doubt or whatever. And yeah, it feels rather constant, where it's like, oh great, like I'm entering such wonderful happy states, but then there's still like hindrances that appear and disappear. Um and so I find that I'm not able to like really get into the good stuff, because the hindrances are they're 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 rather small, and they're rather quick, but they're still, sticking around. So yeah, I mean, my general strategy is, just to try to sink into the good stuff as much as I can. But I guess my problem is I'm wishing it would resolve more quickly, and that's just how it is at the moment. So
Can I suggest something?
yes, please.
you got the right strategy there, in the sense that there is a spectrum, or um, there is wholesome experience, but then you also detect the hindrances, and you also try to redirect your focus to the positive, but you found it hard, right? But that is the right strategy, right? Now I'm just suggesting you to practice that outside of the session.
Mm.
So during the day, the whole day, every day, whenever you have a beautiful feeling that is triggered from outside, because you're living life, right? You take a walk, for example, you take a walk in the park, and you saw a little yellow flower, right? There is all of this experience, pretty much like the meditation experience. There's all this sensation, but then there's only this tiny yellow flower, right? I want you to practice focusing, letting everything else go, and just focus on that flower, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like how beautiful is it, right? Just so simple, right? Just so simple. Or you might, I think the best one is drinking something. It could be a cup of cold water in hot weather, and you drink it, and there's like fresh joy. And I want you to just shut everything out and just zoom in into that tiny small sensation of joy.
Mm.
You can do it. The way you do it, you just close your eyes and just let the taste or the joy, the feeling, be your whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you shut out all the senses. Definitely shut out your mind, and just let that feeling and that taste be your whole existence.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how you practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guarantee that if you do this a lot during the day, you would have
Mm-hmm.
no problem focusing on that joy in the meditation, even though there is hindrances blipping in and out in the background,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Mm-hmm.
shut them out, because you already did it during the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely try that. Yeah. How do how does that then relate to, I guess, what we not wanting to cling to sensual pleasures? I guess it seems almost conflicting. Uh, but then maybe if our attitude is like, well, okay, but we're using this as like a tool, like a practice to uh to train that mind function of like really getting in deep, that it's not like thinking, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I have a response for that. Mm.
Yeah.
We know in our diet, we need to stay away from junks. We need to stay away from, typical high sugar, high salt, that kind of high processed food, and gravitate more to fresh and home cooked and things like that, because it's nutrition, it's nutrition for our body. So we need to eat more of that and less of the junk, right? Our mind is the same, exactly the same. We need to feed it more and more of simple pleasure, the pleasure that doesn't lead us to being codependent, being dependent on the external, and be more independent of ourselves, right? So, for example, the wholesome joy. Yes, we might use, say, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or even a piece of fruit, or a sight, or the feeling of the sun, or the hearing of the ocean. Yes, we might use our senses to trigger that feeling, but we are learning to be independent, because that joy is within us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wholesome, right? The more the more we do this, the less we are dependent on more strong stimulant for us to feel, because uh, because the nature of addiction is it just want more and more and more. So if we are gravitating to the external, we want more and more and more, and before long it'll be we have to jump off the plane to actually feel something, to feel alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people like that who gravitate to extreme sport so that they can feel alive. um, I have a friend, right? He lived in Asia, in India, so he developed a very strong taste, right? So even though in Australia, and I cook very quite healthy diet, he would line, he would surround his dishes with all these spices, this bottle chili, this from India, from Africa, from all this, so that he can put them all in his dishes, because he conditioned his taste to be so extreme. So he
Mm-hmm.
can't taste like just simple bean sprout,
Mm-hmm.
simple herb, very simple. So when we experiencing the joy of the sun, the joy, the feeling of the wind, of the bird, we are conditioning our mind to like the simple thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we are sensitive to the simple thing, when we meditate, we got no problem. Even with just a tiny joy, we can let everything go and focus on that, because we
Mm-hmm.
learn to recondition our mind to like simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we heighten our sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
And
sense?
yeah, so I hear you saying like drinking I don't know, a glass of milk or something, really focusing on the taste of the milk and
But
uh
also the feeling.
and okay, and the feeling that it produced. Okay, so both of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it is the taste that triggered the feeling. And if so, that is the beginning, right? And if you even want to go deeper, you would use the external to trigger the feeling, but then drop the external, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
drinking, right? You're drinking, and then you feel it, but then you can let go of the taste and just focus on the feeling it gives you,
Yeah, yeah. No,
right?
I'm able to do that some days where just walking around and then there's like glowing heart sensations and I can just rest my mind there for hours and hours. Um uh and still at the same time while I'm doing that, thinking hindrances, mind still is able to rest on the feeling, but there's still a bunch of, other stuff going on as I already described. Yeah.
Yeah. So the nature of existence is things are happening really fast, and you can't be two places at the same time. For example, the reason why you notice the hindrances because your mind momentarily was distracted or drawn there. That's why you're aware of it, right? But it's okay because we can train that. And as we, like you say, you dwell more and more into the heart sensation or the heart space, that hindrance will be staffed because you're not paying attention to it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying ask yourself, where is your focus? It's very important because where we focus, that's where we direct our energy, right? And that's where it's what we actually sustain. So if we focus on our suffering, that's where we sustain the suffering because we're feeding it, we pay attention to it. So that's why, like psychoanalysis and psychology, I don't agree too much because it's making us focusing too much on our problem, and not enough of the other side. And when we put too much focus of analyzing and contemplating on, we feeding it, we keeping it alive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So it's been 1 hour and 15 minutes. I like to do half an hour meditation. Okay, so I'll just do some resting space. So we get ourselves into comfortable position. Just take 3 deep breaths in into our tummy and pause. Breathe out, pause. Breathe in, pause. Breathe out, pause. Breathe in, pause. Breathe out. Next, we do body scanning. So we take it from the head, and with our awareness, we move slowly. And as we move, we relax that muscle. We relax the eyes, the nose, the cheek. Drop the jaw. Drop the shoulder. Relax the arm. Relax the tummy. Just sink into an armchair. We're going to spend a few minutes in the present moment, Just hearing sound frequency, hearing sound waves. Be careful of perception and labeling it as a noise. Just sound. In your space, there's no time. There's no doing. You just be observing quietly, silently. It's a me time. It's a time when we rest. It's a time we don't have to be somebody. We don't have to smile if we don't want to. We don't have to be nice if we don't want to. It's a conscious time. We're consciously hearing. We're consciously feeling. the mind will pull us away from the present. When we notice, we just gently bring it back. And it is enough. This present moment is enough. This peace, this silence is enough. It's more than enough because we are experiencing it consciously. We are reclaiming our lives. If joy arises, drop everything and go in the joy. If peace arises, go into the peace. There may be different thoughts, different beliefs arise. Just leave them in the background.